Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is July 10th. Another week down, another week closer till training camp starts. It is almost here. That's it. That's the intro. I'm little still no news is happening, but this is kind of what we expected. We are in the lull right now. I have been prepping though for my division previews, which are coming in a couple weeks. I think last week of July or first week of August is when I start them. Very excited to do that. Very excited to talk about all the teams and talk about this upcoming season fully. But for this week's episode, we are continuing the Hall of Very Good, finishing off the defensive players with the interior defensive linemen and starting with some offensive guys. And we're matching the other side. We're going with the big uglies in the trenches, offensive line. And we're doing it a little bit differently. 3 guys getting in for offensive line because I didn't break it down by position. I didn't do tackle, guard, centers. Offensive line, 1 category. So yeah, that's why they're getting 3. Interior defensive line, 2 guys like normal. And then yeah, as always, we'll start off with the NFL Weekly Update, and I guess let's just get right into it. Some very, very sad news over the weekend. Former Oregon Duck and newly drafted Viking Kyrie Jackson is dead at 24. Unbelievably sad news for a multitude of reasons. I mean, the man was just starting his journey and his path into being an NFL player, and I believe that he was going to be a very, very good NFL player, and it breaks my heart that his life was taken away by such a careless act. Him and 2 of his friends also pronounced dead at the scene. It's brutal, and I'm not sure if it's come out yet, but the other person driving the car who caused the accident might have been drunk. I guess I shouldn't speculate, but either way, absolutely awful. And just a little bit about Kyrie in general. Almost quit football. Didn't play football for 2 years, and then he's like, no, I'm going to give this a go. Started at JUCO, eventually transferred to Bama, left Bama, went to Oregon, and the rest is history, and he had a very productive career at Oregon, drafted by the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell put out like a heartbreaking statement too, where it was just like every time this kid was in the building, always a smile on his face, always ready to learn. He mentioned that like they believed that he was going to be a big part of their team this year, and it hurts. It hurts them a lot. So I guess, yeah, rest in peace to Kyrie Jackson. Rest in peace to the 2 others. Just super, super sad. We'll move on, though. Tough to transition that, but next note I have up here is newly signed Steelers cornerback Cam Sutton is suspended 8 games for his domestic violence charge from this past spring, I believe. Absolutely deserved. Should he even be playing in the league? No, but that's what the NFL is. They turn a blind eye to some stuff. It's like, we'll suspend you, but, there should really be a zero tolerance stuff. There is in the CFL. But yeah, Cam Sutton will miss half the season, as he absolutely should. Another suspension here. Longtime safety Tashawn Gibson. Let me try to think. He played with the Browns. He played with the Jags, I believe. He's bounced around a couple other places, but was with the Niners last year. Suspended 6 games for PEDs. Kind of bugs me. 6 games for performance enhancing and drugs versus 8 games for like beating a woman. I don't know. Again, zero tolerance for that shit in the NFL, or it should be zero tolerance, but whatever. Next note up, Josh Allen changes his name to Josh Hines Allen. For any confusion out there, this is Jaguars star edge rusher, just got a huge bag this offseason. That Josh Allen is now Josh Hines Allen. The Jags put out a video of him, like the reason, and he noted his family and his sisters, who are all Hines Allen, on the back. So yeah, and I think that he's doing a jersey swap day where if you have a Josh Allen jersey, come in, see him. I'm sure he'll sign it or something, give you a new jersey. But nice on him to do that. And also nice to any like NFL stat keepers where now there aren't two Josh Allens who are playing basically like same career time frames. I think the Josh Allen, the quarterback, was 2018. Josh Allen, the edge, was 2019. So the overlap has basically been their entire career so far. Moving on, Texans re-signed Jerry Hughes, who is going on to year 15. Longtime Bill, just longtime NFL player. Very, good vet to have, I guess. I'm sure he's a good coach and leader in the locker room. And this is a very young Texans team, so I think it's good to have that vocal voice. Jerry Hughes going into year 15. And the last note I have up here is the Ravens sign AFL star Todd Simmons, and AFL, not the American Football League, the Arena Football League. I think that's what it's called anyways. But yeah, so Arena League star Todd Simmons signs with the Ravens. He had 12 TDs in his 8 games in the Arena League. Doesn't really matter. The field dimensions are not the same. What is crazy, though, is in his workout with the Ravens, they obviously have all of like the next-gen stats, tracking devices to see how fast and how whatever. He hit 23.8 miles per hour during his workout. That's elite speed. And I think it got floated out there that, maybe this is like a kick return guy for them. Either way, 23.8 mile per hour speed is like the 1% of the NFL speed. So yeah, that's why I made it noteworthy. Todd Simmons, maybe someone to put in the back of your mind and be like, I remember when Jason and his abundance of football knowledge told me about this guy on the Ravens who, I don't know, maybe might get like 20 snaps this year, but I told you about him. Okay, we can move on now. Hall of Very Good. Starting off with the interior defensive linemen, wrapping up the defense here. The nominees are Kyle Williams, Casey Hampton, Vince Wilfork, Jamal Williams, Chris Jenkins, Michael Bennett, and Jarrell Casey. Let's start off with Kyle Williams, the longtime Bill. That's the only team he did play for. 13-year career, one-time second-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. This Kyle Williams was the man in Buffalo basically that entire stretch up until Josh Allen got there. I think there might have been 1 year of overlap in their careers, but Kyle Williams was that dude. He was the face of the franchise, and he was a very, very good player. Even finished with 10.5 sacks in in 2013, which is very impressive from the interior defensive line spot. And now we're shifting into a new age of guys on the interior who you better be able to pass rush. And Kyle Williams wasn't one of the first guys, wasn't like, breaking the archetype or whatever, but he showed that he was able to do that, and he was a very, very good player for those Bills teams that just had nothing going for them other than Kyle Williams. I mean, there was a couple other guys, but again, Kyle Williams was the face of that team, I think, during that Bills stretch anyways. We'll keep going here. Casey Hampton, longtime Steeler, 12-year career, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time Pro Bowler. His nickname was Big Snack. He was a nose tackle for the Steelers during their big run with Big Ben. I mean, I guess Big Ben wasn't even there for their first Super Bowl, was he? Yeah, Big Ben, 2-time Super Bowl champ. Yeah, because he would have been a rookie. I'm just talking to myself, that monologue. But yeah, Casey Hampton was a big part on that defense, plugging up the middle. And that's the thing. Nose tackles don't get the stats. I even wrote down because I thought it was funny. He only has 9 sacks in his career. Meanwhile, a guy like Kyle Williams, who I just said had 10.5 sacks in 1 year alone. And this kind of got me off on like a little bit of a tangent. The fact that so Casey Hampton, one of the best nose tackles to play in the league, Hall of Very Good nominee, obviously. But then we have someone like Dexter Lawrence on the New York Giants who does all of the things that Casey Hampton does, but also gets pressures on the quarterback, gets sacks, is a disruptor in the pass game. I don't think I appreciated how much or how great Dexter Lawrence really is. And I'm excited when I tune into more Giants games this coming fall to actually watch him. But Dexter Lawrence is truly unbelievable, truly one of one type of player right now in the NFL and should get more recognition. But this is about Casey Hampton. Casey Hampton, also excellent, but 9 sacks in the career. That's keep going here. Another big bruising nose tackle. Vince Wilfork, 13 seasons, 2-time Super Bowl champ, first team All-Pro once, 4-time second team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. What is there to say about Vince Wilfork? One of my favorite Patriots players, mainly just because that guy was just built like a fridge. No neck, but he also had, I think when I truly, not fell in love with Vince Wilfork, but you know what I mean, was when he was actually on the Texans during their Hard Knocks, and they did an episode on Hard Knocks, and here's big old Vince Wilfork coming in with the overalls, no shirt underneath, cowboy boots and the cowboy hat, and then they flash to his house and he has a basketball court and he was making shots, he was crossing, the big man can move, and it's when you're that size you kind of have to be in the NFL. That's just kind of how it works. And Vince Wilfork was just an eater of space out there. Again, not a lot of sacks like most normal nose tackles, but what I didn't know is he is the man that caused the infamous butt fumble of Mark Sanchez. He is the one who drove, I guess it would have been the center probably, right back into Sanchez, caused that butt fumble, and the rest is history. I don't think Mark Sanchez will ever forget that moment. I know I won't. Next man up here, we have Jamal Williams. Not that Jamal Williams. And I didn't know, this is a name that was kind of new to me when I looked it up, and had a long career, 13 seasons, 2-time first team All-Pro, 1-time second team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. Spent most of his career, or I believe all of his career, with the Chargers. I think he went somewhere at the end, but majority of his career with the Chargers, that would have been with the Phillip Rivers, LT, Junior Seau teams. And again, Jamal Williams, nose tackle, just eater of space out there, and one of the best to do it for a short period of time. And I found out the man had a pick six, and I think it was a 40-yard pick six, or no, it might have been shorter than that. Either way, a nose tackle getting an interception and then turning that into a touchdown. Very, very impressive stuff. Next man up here, Chris Jenkins, father of Chris Jenkins, newly acquired or newly drafted Cincinnati Bengal, 10-year career, 2-time first team All-Pro, 1-time second team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. Was a very, very good player for the Panthers, mainly finished his career with the Jets. Talked a lot of shit, and when I tried, because usually I try to find highlights or whatever of the players so I can have a bit of an understanding about what they do and who they are. Chris Jenkins was the man on that sports science episode where I don't know if people actually remember sports science, but it was an ESPN show with John Brinkus as the host, where it was basically weird sports stuff and hypotheticals, and let's put it to the test, where I don't know what the episode was. I think it was just testing the strength and the force of So Chris Jenkins, and Chris Jenkins was one of the stars of the show, and he picked up John Brinkus like Brinkus was the offensive lineman, Jenkins lining up like he normally does. Ball was snapped, and he just got up under him, tossed him 4 feet in the air, and then landed on his back. I was gonna say on like a crash pad. He missed the crash pad, but it was, I mean, just a strong, strong physical man, and shorter career, very short career, and he also missed almost 4 full seasons because of injuries. Probably on track to be a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for those injuries, but still a very good career regardless. Coming up to a few more modern guys, recently retired guys, starting off with Michael Bennett, 11-year career, Super Bowl champ, 3-time Pro Bowler. And I didn't realize that Michael Bennett wasn't a Seahawk, like started his career as a Seahawk. But I found out that he was a UDFA, which I also didn't know. So just like the rise to where he went and how good he was, absolutely incredible. But Michael Bennett was a UDFA for the Seahawks. Then they didn't re-sign him after the year. He went over to Tampa, played there for a couple years, ended up back in Seattle, and then the rest is history. That Super Bowl, that defense. But a very, very good pass rusher on the interior. And he was kind of one of those newer archetype interior defensive linemen. Now, was he the peak of the peak? No, that's obviously Aaron Donald, but Michael Bennett was someone who could be played at the edge. He would be like a big edge, but he had good moves to get to the quarterback from the interior, and that was his role. And finally, another guy who freak athlete, very, very fit, Jarrell Casey, 10-year career. Unfortunately, injuries just kind of caught up to him in the end. 10-year career, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. Spent the majority of his career with the Titans, finished it with the Broncos. Injuries were just kind of the thing that caught up with him. But one of the many things that I found out while doing this is he had 7 seasons with 5 sacks or more. That is incredibly impressive from the interior defensive line spot. And he, again, coming with these new wave of guys where the guys on the interior need to be able to rush the quarterback. Jarrell Casey was one of the ones at the start, and one of the better ones from the start. 7 seasons with 5 sacks or more is absolutely incredible. I guess I will say the 2 new members going into the Hall of Very Good are Buffalo Bills Kyle Williams and the New England Patriots Vince Wilfork. Congratulations to both of those men. Better luck next year to the remaining inductees. But Kyle Williams, Vince Wilfork going in the Hall of Very Good. All right, let's get on to the offensive line here, and I'll preface it with this. It's hard to find offensive line highlight tape, so a lot of it is just all of these guys were very good at blocking. That's kind of what you need to know about them play-wise, unless I have other things I can talk about, but... and I guess the other thing, most of these guys that I'm talking about had their careers ended early through a myriad of different injuries, but let's start off with... Jake Long, former Dolphin, went to the Rams, Falcons, and then it just kind of ended from there. Jake Long, though, 9-year career, was the first overall pick by the Dolphins. First team All-Pro, 1 second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. Started in 62 straight games, and then injuries started to pile up, add on. I think it was multiple ACL surgeries that did him in. But I remember, Jake Long was one of the first Dolphins players that I remember when I started, truly kind of, getting into football and being Jake Long is fucking nasty. And I was very sad when the Dolphins didn't re-sign him. But it's wild to see his first 4 years of his career was Hall of Fame trajectory, sky's the limit, best left tackle in football. He goes to St. Louis, and then The injuries start to happen. Doesn't make a Pro Bowl again after making 4 in 4 straight years. Sad end to his career, but a very, very good player when healthy. Next up, we have Ryan Clady. 9-year career, Super Bowl champ with those 2015 Broncos. Again, injuries though, he didn't play in that Super Bowl, unfortunately. 2-time first team All Pro, 1-time second team All Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. Yeah, also had ACL injuries. I think he had like shoulder stuff too. And the stat I found on him, he didn't allow a full sack in his first 20 games of his career. So almost a season of a half into his career, he didn't allow a full sack or give up a full sack in 20 straight games. That is absolutely phenomenal. That is a nuts stat. And now I'm kind of thinking, I wish I knew what like the longest stretch was of an offensive lineman not allowing a sack. But yeah, he does have a Super Bowl ring. He is a Super Bowl champion, but unfortunately did not play for the Broncos in that season because of his injuries, but he deserves a ring. He was a Bronco lifer. Another guy, again, another 9-year career here. We have Mitchell Schwartz. Started off with the Browns, went over to KC, and KC is where he really took off. Super Bowl champion with them in 2019. 1-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro. No Pro Bowls, though. Was a technically like 4-time All-Pro, didn't make the Pro Bowl once. And that just kind of shows how much of a sham the Pro Bowl is. And I think that's only started like relatively recently. I feel like when I was in high school anyways, it like kind of mattered. And now it's just like no one goes, and like Mitch Trubisky and Tyler Huntley and Mac Jones make the Pro Bowl. Like, I don't know what we're doing, but regardless, this is about Mitchell Schwartz. He did not miss a snap. Didn't miss a play, no plays off, didn't come out at all for 121 games. Absolutely incredible to just be an offensive lineman. Like, though you get rolled up on, you get guys stepping on your feet, he did not miss a single play on offense for the team in 121 straight games. And again, Mitchell Schwartz is kind of in my prime viewing years, and I guess I still am in my prime viewing years, but he was, at one point, one of the best tackles in football, period. It was a big loss for the Chiefs when he left, and they felt that on the offensive line for a couple years. And yeah, he just kind of had a back injury, and it just didn't get better, and then that was it. So Mitchell Schwartz. Next guy up, we have Ryan Khalil, the longtime Carolina Panthers center, 13-year career, 2-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro, and a 5-time Pro Bowler. I don't got much on Ryan Khalil. He was obviously part of that Panthers team that made it to the Super Bowl and lost to the Broncos. One of the... I mean, yeah, he was. It was him and Jordan Gross, and I think Jordan Gross is already in the Hall of Very Good, but they were the building blocks on that offensive line. I think I'm missing. There's someone else on those Panthers offensive lines that I remember being good, but Matt Khalil was the center, leading the charge of the rushing attack with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Very good team. Very fun teams, not very good teams. They were very good once Cam got there, but a little too late there. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'll find something better to talk about you next year. Next man up, we have Travis Frederick. Only a 7-year career. First team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, and again, retired due to injuries. I forget what his injury was. It's like CGS. It's not BGS, but it was basically like muscle spasms. Like couldn't feel. I'm explaining this bad. I should have actually like honed in and looked on that. But Travis Frederick would have been a Hall of Famer if he had a normal career where injuries just didn't ruin him. those Cowboys offensive lines back when Dak was in his first couple years, they had Zeke, and it was Travis Frederick at center, Zach Martin at one of the guards, Tyron Smith at left tackle. I think Lyle Collins would have been there. I forget who their other guard was. Doesn't really matter. But like Tyron Smith, Hall of Famer, Zach Martin, Hall of Famer, Travis Frederick should have been a Hall of Famer, but 7-year career, it would be very tough for him to get in. Maybe Jerry Jones has a little more pull that I don't know about, but yeah, Travis Frederick was one of the best centers in the league for a very short period of time, unfortunately. Next man up here, we have Brandon Brooks, 10-year career, Super Bowl champ, 3-time Pro Bowler, also missed multiple years due to injuries. Started his career with the Texans, which I don't think I knew that. Went over with the Eagles. That's where he won his Super Bowl. And that's where he would have met Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland, who turned him into the 3-time Pro Bowler that he was. Unfortunately for Brooks, again, another injury-shortened career. Just kind of when his career was in an upward trajectory, it just kind of leveled out, fizzled out. He was, still is, no, was, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. Very good guard, and obviously playing with Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey. But that Eagles offensive line just turns out new offensive linemen. But yeah, I think he had multiple Achilles injuries to end his career, which, I mean, going through one Achilles injury is tough enough. 2, goddamn. And finally, last man up here, we have longtime Giants center Chris Snee, also a shorter career, 10-year career, 2-time Super Bowl champ, first-team All-Pro once, second-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, and yeah, ended his career with a hip injury, was the man calling the pass protections for Eli Manning and spotting out the blitzes, was integral to those Giants teams and Giants running games. And what I found funny when looking him up is Chris Snee is married to Tom Coughlin's daughter. If you don't know who Tom Coughlin is, he is the former Giants head coach who won those 2 Super Bowls with him. So it's just funny that obviously he would have met her through some Giants thing or going to Tom Coughlin's house. And congrats to them. I think they have 4 kids. I think that's what the Wikipedia said. But Chris Snee, excellent player. And that's also a reminder for me, Tom Coughlin should be in the Hall of Very Good, or at least nominated next year. He will probably get in next year. Little sneak peek. But as I said in the intro, 3 offensive linemen are getting in here, and the inductees are Jake Long, Miami Dolphins, Mitchell Schwartz, Kansas City Chiefs, and Travis Frederick, Dallas Cowboys. Congrats to those 3. To the others, maybe better luck next year. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I might have to go pick up my lovely girlfriend from downtown, but she has not texted me. So yeah. Next week, what do I have next week? I think we're getting into skill position players next week, if I remember correctly. Yes, we are running backs and wide receivers. That should be a fun one to talk about. Yeah, so we got running backs, wide receivers next week. But until then, if you've liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, and all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.